What's up everyone, it's Joshua here. For those of you interested in learning music theory, whether you're a music student, music educator, musician, songwriter, music composer, producer, or anything in between, this video is for you. So let's dive on in. Music notes on the staff are broken into measures, which are separated by bar lines. Measures are divided into beats, and most commonly in music there are 4 beats in each measure. When we tell time, we think of time going by in seconds, minutes, hours, etc. Similar to this, music goes by in beats. Like I mentioned in part 3, rhythms in music are played on top of the beat. These rhythms here are notes of sound that can vary in duration. Each type of rhythm is worth a certain number of beats and takes up a certain amount of space within a measure. Let's start with the whole note. A whole note is worth 4 beats of sound and fills up the entire measure. A half note is worth 2 beats of sound and fills up half of the measure, giving us room to have 2 half notes to equal a total of 4 beats in the whole measure. A quarter note is worth 1 beat of sound and fills up a quarter of the measure, giving us room to have 4 quarter notes to equal a total of 4 beats in the whole measure. An eighth note is worth a half a beat of sound and fills up an eighth of the measure, giving us room to have 8 eighth notes to equal a total of 4 beats in the whole measure. Individual eighth notes look like this, but we most commonly see them like this, where they are grouped in pairs of 2. This helps us visually to see where beats 1, 2, 3, and 4 are in the measure. A pattern we can notice here is how the rhythm values are essentially being cut in half each time. A whole note is divided equally into 2 half notes, a half note is divided equally into 2 quarter notes, and a quarter note is divided equally into 2 eighth notes. When quarter notes are played, they go exactly with the beat and are counted like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Since eighth notes are worth a half a beat each, we need a way to count beats 1, 2, 3, and 4, as well as the notes that happen in between. We do this by simply adding the word "and" in between each number. So eighth notes are counted like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. In the same way that we have our rhythms of sound, we also have our rhythms of silence. In music, we call these rests. And rests, just like our rhythms of sound, are worth a certain number of beats. A whole rest is worth 4 beats of silence and fills up the entire measure. A half rest is worth 2 beats of silence and fills up half of the measure, giving us room to have 2 half rests to equal a total of 4 beats in the whole measure. A quarter rest is worth 1 beat of silence and fills up a quarter of the measure, giving us room to have 4 quarter rests to equal a total of 4 beats in the whole measure. And an eighth rest is worth a half a beat of silence and fills up an eighth of the measure, giving us room to have 8 eighth rests to equal a total of 4 beats in the whole measure. An important thing to note is that even when we have rests or silence, the beat continues to move the music along. Just like I mentioned in part 3, the beat of the music stays constant and steady and doesn't stop just because we have rests in the music. Instead, we count through the rests along with the beat to get to the next note of sound that is played, and then we continue from there. Let's take a listen to some musical examples that feature a combination of all of our rhythms. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or if it was helpful to you, be sure to hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate it, and it really helps to get the video out there for more people to see it and learn from it as well. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.